Back with you at the Martinsville Speedway, Eli Gold with Jerry Punch and Pat Patterson. A 31-car starting field set today for the Goody's 500. 31 cars instead of 30 because Buddy Baker is in the field now with a provisional starting spot.
Well, Buddy's young son, Brian, 26 years old, was going to start the car, make his Winston Cup debut here at Martinsville. He couldn't qualify the car, so his dad, Buddy, will start the car dead last, shotgun on the field to get the Crisco Oldsmobile in the field today.
Now, at the other end of the starting field, the man on the pole is there for the first time this year. Jeff Bodine drives a Levi Garrett Chevrolet, and Pat Patterson is with him.
The man on the pole today, Jeff Bodine, the number 5 Levi Garrett car. Jeff, you've had a lot of success at Martinsville, and I know you're looking for some success this afternoon.
That's right. We're on the pole. We needed this pole, and feels good to be sitting up here again. We need a win, too, and this is one track where we've come close a couple times. Early this year, we were close with the same car, so hopefully it'll perform as well as it did in the spring, and we can keep it up front and drive it in victory lane at the end.
Jeff, is a major factor brakes and tires here?
Brakes, tires, engine, sheet metal, you name it. It's all major here at Martinsville. You got to have it all to run good, and to win, you've got to have it at the end. So that's real important to save everything for the end of the race.
Okay, he'll try to save everything for his first win of the '87 season as Jeff Bodine will lead him away. Let's go back upstairs.
Well, thank you, Pat Patterson, with our pole sitter, Jeff Bodine. And Jeff Bodine's record, Eli, speaks for itself here. His first Winston Cup win came here in '84 in the spring race, but he has won many times in the open-wheel modifieds and the Busch Grand National cars.
One other factor, though, here today is the fact that Dale Earnhardt can't be overlooked. Every time the Winston Cup Series runs on a short track this year, Earnhardt wins.
Well, he's won 6 in a row, and he likes this track. He sort of backed into a victory. He'll admit it here early in the year. Bodine should have won it, but Bodine and Kyle Petty had a disagreement in turn 2. You saw it here on SETN. Maybe we'll see something different today.
Stick around. Let's meet the rest of the starting lineup as the Goody's 500 start draws near. You've already heard from the pole sitter, Jeff Bodine. His Chevrolet at 91.218 miles an hour, a new Goody's 500 qualifying record.
Morgan Shepherd from Conover, North Carolina, who made the track record here back in April in qualifying. He'll start outside row 1 today in the Bernstein Quaker State Buick.
Terry Labonte of Corpus Christi, Texas, in the Junior Johnson Budweiser Chevrolet, 90.803 miles an hour. He starts third.
The Valvoline Pontiac for Neil Bonnet, Hueytown, Alabama driver, qualifying at 90.777 miles per hour. He will start fourth.
A youngster who cut his teeth on the short tracks. A fine qualifying run here this weekend. Bobby Hillen Jr. of Midland, Texas. The Miller American Buick will start fifth.
And the car of the famed Wood brothers, the Citgo Ford, will be driven by Kyle Petty from Randleman, North Carolina. Second generation, Kyle will start sixth.
And if it weren't for bad luck, this man would have no luck at all. Harry Gant, the Skull Bandit Chevrolet, 90.638 miles an hour. He'll start seventh here this afternoon.
And dominant Dale Earnhardt, 6 wins. He's won everything on the short track this year. The Wrangler Chevrolet will start eighth.
With a couple of Winston Cup wins on the short track, Dave Marcus, Wausau, Wisconsin, the Lifeboy Chevrolet. He starts ninth, qualifying at 90.529.
And an impressive young rookie driver, his best qualifying effort of the year, Dale Jarrett from Hickory, North Carolina. The Coates & Clark Chevrolet will start in 10th.
As the field gets set to roll off the line, we'll take a look at the remainder of the lineup. Kenny Schrader and Rusty Wallace in Old Missouri, 6th row. Bill Elliott and Darrell Waltrip, a couple of veterans in row number 7, looking for victory here today.
Eli back in row 8. Ricky Rudd, who was so dominant last week at Dover. Richard Petty, the 15-time winner here. Row 9, Bobby Allison, who's never won, and Benny Parsons.
Yep, Bobby is still looking for that elusive first Winston Cup win here. Greg Sachs from Long Island and Michael Waltrip in row number 10. A couple of good-looking young drivers in row 11. Phil Parsons and Alan Kowicki in the Xerox Ford.
Back in row 12, Sterling Marlin, the veteran campaigner, and a rookie driver from the West Coast, Ernie Irvin. Row 13, Buddy Arrington and Curtis Markham, a late model stock car competitor.
J.D. McDuffie and Steve Christman share row number 14. Slick Johnson, who occasionally campaigns on the Winston Cup Tour, alongside Jimmy Means in row number 15. And
by himself in row 16, Buddy Baker, the veteran, starting shotgun on the field, the Crisco Oldsmobile.
The separation of the starting field, just 0.657 seconds. That is 2.798 miles an hour from top to bottom. An awfully tough and tight competitive field here today. And Jerry, the key, as Pat Patterson mentioned with Jeff Bodine before, tight turns and long drag strip-like straightaways. It puts a premium a big, big premium on the braking of the cars.
You've got to be patient today. Patience is the virtue at this track. You cannot run the car hard in the corners, jam on the brakes. You may outrun someone for a couple laps. When those brakes heat up, you're going to have to back off and let them cool. So in the long run, you'll lose. You've got to be consistent, and you've got to be patient.
You see a pit road right there. They pit on both sides of the speedway here at Martinsville. We'll update you on that throughout the day. Lights are out atop the Pontiac safety car. Pace car driver Jim Graham comes off turn 4, takes the pace car down pit road, and we are set to go green flag racing here at the Martinsville Speedway. Honorary starters waving the flag with Harold Kinder watching from behind, and Jeff Bodine with a little nudge alongside Morgan Shepherd. Gets a quick jump and a little nudge. Jerry, I'd like to have a dime for every time. I think I'm going to have to say that today.
I guarantee you they'll wear out the sheet metal today. None of the top 7 qualifiers have won this year on the tour. They're all hungry. Have to go all the way back to Earnhardt, who's been so dominant to find a winner. Bodine hasn't won. Shepherd hasn't won. And can you believe it? Terry Labonte in the Budweiser Chevy hasn't won either.
Car number 75, Neil Bonnet, he is next in line looking for a win for the Raymock team. Bobby Hillen Jr. next in line looking for a win. Harry Gant, as we talked earlier, next in line. He too looking for that elusive victory here in the 1987 season. Very much single file all the way back to the 11th spot where Dave Marcus is right now battling alongside Dale Jarrett, but here are the lead cars. You see the different colors in the turn. The inside lanes are a lighter color than your conventional asphalt, and that is indeed 2 different types of surfaces, concrete and asphalt, because this track itself takes a pounding, and promoter Clay Earls felt that this might be a way to better keep this track in raceable condition over the years.
And the fans already getting involved, cheering for their favorite driver. We'll draw your attention to that curbing. There's a piece of metal there, debris on the track, and yellow curbing to the inside of the corner. That could be a factor. You get a wheel in that curbing, you can cut a tire down, you can bend something in the steering, it could cost you a day.
And Jerry, they're going to put out the caution right here. That piece of debris we saw, there's Harold Kinder, NASCAR's chief starter. That piece of debris we saw just coming off turn number 2 is the reason for the caution. So we are 8 laps complete. We're coming back with more of the Goodies 500 from Martinsville. Stay with us. Back underway here in Martinsville, Virginia. Here's how the leaders stack up. Car number 5, Jeff Bodine, is the leader. Morgan Shepherd, Labonte, Bobby Hillen Jr., and Dale Earnhardt. As you look at Buddy Baker, he's got a long way to go. As Jerry, you mentioned earlier, he starts shotgun on the field here today, having taken over the controls of the Oldsmobile from his son.
It's been a long time since Buddy Baker has run on a short track, and it's been a long time since he's been here at Martinsville, Virginia. He's not acclimated to running on the short tracks that much, and there's the Eureka vacuum cleaner car, and someone taps a little bit of curbing there. That's Jimmy Means, car number 52.
We got to take a look at that also, Jerry. When you said he tapped the curbing, look at that smoke was coming out of Buddy Baker's car. It was tough to tell. We'll get an eyeball on that in a moment. Here's a good battle between 21 Kyle Petty, 75 Neil Bonnet, as they work down the back stretch into turn 3, and Rusty Wallace, who has won here at Martinsville in the past in the Kodiak Pontiac.
Yeah, he's a defending champion of this event. This Goodies 500. He won a year ago.
Richard Petty, car number 43, the Petty dynasty, tied so very closely to the Martinsville Speedway. Here's Buddy Baker again. Let's see if we can tell if I might have been mistaken. You might have been right. He caught that curbing possibly. Jimmy Means moving inside of Buddy Baker. No, there is that smoke again. It was from Buddy's car.
Almost looks like a brake possibly hanging up on the left rear wheel there. He gets in the corners and gets a little bit high, and now he's on the brakes. When he backs off and gets back in the throttle, out from under that left rear wheel, it could be brakes, could also be exhaust smoke. Hard to tell from here.
We'll keep an eye on that for you. The Crisco Oldsmobile, Buddy Baker, already being lapped by the race leader, Jeff Bodine. It is not difficult to get lapped here at Martinsville. It's a half-mile track, but if you are not set up or having a problem as Baker is, and you see a little right front damage already on the old, so you can go down a lap in a hurry. He's not pitting yet. Doug Reichert and the crew. You ever talk to Doug? He pronounces it both ways.
Either way, here's Earnhardt in the pits.
You see how that car is listing?
Flat left front tire apparently for the Wrangler Chevrolet. Dale Earnhardt. Chocolate Myers, Will Lind and the crew.
See how they have to physically lift the car so as to fit the jack beneath the car. When you're flat on the rim like that, you just can't get the jack underneath.
Left front tire going on by Kirk Shelmerdine, the crew chief. David Smith at the jack beneath the car. 17.4 seconds, a green flag stop. That'll cost him a lap, but he had to do it. A flat left front tire.
All the while, Buddy Baker now slowing, and he's going to be taking his car towards the pit area. We'll get an update on that in just a moment or so. There's Buddy's car, the hulking, smoking mass that it is, coming to a stop.
There's Brian and Brandon Baker, Buddy's two sons. They pull the hood up and take a look beneath there, and the rest of the Crisco crew.
There's Dale Earnhardt. He's got a long way to go now, but fortunately, he's got more than a short time to get there. This is a rather lengthy event. Normally runs right around 4 hours.
Earnhardt putting himself a couple of laps down early. He's trying to keep that string alive. 6 wins on the short track. He's won on every short track we've run on this year. 2 short track races remain. Of course, today at Martinsville, and then a week or so at North Wilkesboro.
Michael Waltrip, car number 30, about to be lapped by Jeff Bodine. There again, Kyle Petty, Rusty Wallace, Richard Petty going to the outside of Bobby Hillen Jr. in car number 8. Oh, and Hillen gets around. Richard Petty tags him. Bodine, the race leader, involved. Jimmy Means is involved. Bonnet goes across the curbing. Everybody else goes to the high side in a very quick chain reaction problem. We are under caution, needless to say.
Heavy damage to the Bodine car, the lead car backing up, trying to keep from losing a lap.
Nearly caught Benny Parsons and Harry Gant going to the outside. Ernie Irvin comes by, and Jimmy Means, who had such a fine run, you remember, here on SETN earlier this year in Richmond, Virginia on the short track. Not a whole lot left to Jimmy Means' car.
Jeff Bodine, what a year he's had. Unbelievable year trying to make his way to pit road.
Let's take a look at it again, Jerry, and see. They were just going by Bobby Hillen Jr., and it looked to me as though it was Hillen who spun. Let's take a closer look.
Hillen on the inside. Here's Rusty Wallace, the car number 27, the defending champion. And there'll be a contact here. Hillen's right front fender and Rusty's left rear.
That's what happened.
And now Hillen is against the curb. You can't steer it when it's on that curb. His car loops around. Richard Petty has nowhere to go. He will center punch Hillen in the left front fender. Look at Means trying to get on the brakes, but ooh, he taps the king in the rear.
And here's
Bodine trying to slide, miss it, but he just
These cars, they hang low enough. They're not supposed to go over the curb like that. It'll be interesting to see if there's a problem from that.
Here's Buddy Arrington making a good move up high to go around it in the panel sweatshirts Ford. Here's a Levi Garrett car on pit road. They're working on that extensively damaged right rear quarter panel of the car. Mike Jarrett and the rest of the crew there. Gary Nelson working as some of the other traffic comes by. What a break for Jeff Bodine.
Especially running as well as he has been. Richard Petty is on pit road. Dale Inman and the crew tending to the battered STP Pontiac. Pat Patterson is in that pit. Pat, what's the story?
Well, the king of stock car racing, Richard Petty, is in the pits here in Martinsville. As you can see, the car heavily damaged on the front left side. The crew on the other side will change 2 right tires, while the men with the hood up will try to see exactly what has been damaged on the number 43 car. Richard Petty also showing some damage on the left rear of the car as well. So the king of stock car racing, looking for that 201st victory, is probably not going to have a shot at it today.
Eli, a bit of trivia here. Petty Enterprises has won 16 times here at Martinsville. Richard Petty has only won 15. Who won the other one driving the Petty car?
Good question. We'll think about it. We'll come up with an answer as soon as we come back.
Well, Jeff Bodine, the leader of this race up until this point, is climbing out of the Levi Garrett Chevrolet. Bodine apparently having some problems with the track bar in the rear suspension of the car, and he's out of it now, taking a look for himself as the car sits behind the pit wall. The Levi Garrett crew working feverishly to try to get this car back in the race. It's a tough break for Jeff Bodine after winning his first pole of the 1987 season to have to be faced with this situation behind pit wall. Back upstairs.
All right, Pat, you saw team owner Rick Hendrick right there looking on as well. Here's how it stacks up on the leaderboard, your top 5. And Dale Earnhardt now is on the tail end of the lead lap. Car number 3 there is trying to get on the lead lap and has managed to do so just ahead of the 2 race leaders. So 3 is on the tail end of the lead lap. 11 and 17, the Bud and Tide cars are battling for the race lead.
Neither of these drivers have won a race this year, Eli. Terry Labonte, it's hard to believe, but of course they've had injuries. They've had problems. They lost Jeff Hammond, the crew chief. He is now the crew chief for Darrell Waltrip, that Tide car, which is running second. And remember, Earnhardt is a lap down, or on the tail end of the lead lap. Here's your leader, the Budweiser Chevrolet of Terry Labonte. Labonte would like to win here. This is a new short track car they built early in the year for Labonte at Wilkesboro, but you know, he got that fractured shoulder. He couldn't drive for a few weeks. This is his first time really to be 100% here at Martinsville.
Give me that trivia quiz question again that you threw at us before the break.
All right, Petty Enterprises has won 16 times. Their cars have won 16 events here at Martinsville. Richard Petty has won only 15. Someone else won one race driving a Petty car. Who was it?
My immediate guess would be somebody like Joe Milliken or Pete Hamilton, somewhere along, somebody like that.
That's a good possibility. Our producer, John Lewis, got it right. Yes, it's Lee Petty.
Lee Petty, that's a good. You don't think about Lee Petty immediately.
Lee Petty won here in 1959.
Of course.
Driving the Petty Enterprises car, obviously.
Obviously. Of course, our producer, John, I'm sitting here looking at the record book. Lewis came up with that one. Way to go, John. Nice touch. We are at Martinsville Speedway, the Goodies 500. Eli Gold, Dr. Jerry Punch, Pat Patterson. Glad you're along with us. Got a lot of good racing coming up on SETN yet this season. The season finale on the Busch Grand National Tour. A 3-race season finale from Richmond, Virginia, Charlotte, North Carolina, and back here in Martinsville as Harry Gant, Benny Parsons, Morgan Shepherd. If you don't believe green is an unlucky color or a lucky color, you see those cars battling side by side. Jeff Bodine is out of it in a yellow and white car. Gentlemen.
Jeff, I know this is awfully disheartening. What did happen out there?
Just coming up through lap traffic, trying to be careful. Car was running so good. A couple of cars got sideways getting into 3. I don't know if someone bumped someone or what happened, but everyone started spinning around, and I came in there a little sideways. Somebody rolled down in front of me, and I just hit him with the right rear tire. Of course, when you do that, you bend your housing, your rim, your truck arm, all the mounting brackets, everything's bent, so we're going to fix it. We might go back out, but we got to fix it just to get out of the truck.
I know you were looking for good things today. We're sorry to see you out of it.
Thank you.
He's always run so very well here as we watch the battle for the lead. Probably the Bodine family, next to the Petty family, Jerry, might be the most successful at this racetrack.
I think they're either going to change the name to Pettyville or Bodineville.
Yeah.
Because both have been very successful. There's Earnhardt and Mike Waltrip running awfully well. The All-Pro car, the Chuck Ryder, Dick Bayer car.
Now remember, Dale Earnhardt, car number 3, is on the lead lap. If you joined us along the way, he had an unscheduled pit stop early for a tire problem on the left side of the automobile, and that's what caused him to lose the laps, but he has since battled back to race with the leaders. It'll be interesting to see. We're getting to the point now where oftentimes those who are going to have brake problems start to see it happen. This is, again, once you boil that brake fluid even once, it's tough to get the brakes back underneath the car the rest of the day.
Kyle Petty, that said go for it, driving for the Wood Brothers. Now, that's their home track. They live and work here in Stewart, Virginia, about 25 miles away. They've had 2 winners here in the past. Latest car to win for the Wood Brothers was David Pearson here years ago.
Trouble, Rusty Wallace. Looks like the barbecue is done. As Rusty gathers it back in, the flames extinguish themselves as quickly as they appeared, but the Kodiak Pontiac, don't know whether it was the engine or the rear end or an oil line that came loose, Jerry. Tough to tell, but there is caution. There is some oil on the speedway.
Well, they've cooked the bear. He's a defending champion. This is not the car he won with a year ago. They destroyed Sampson at Richmond a few weeks back as the leaders head for pit road.
Pat Patterson is in the Junior Johnson pits. Pat.
And Terry Labonte brings his number 11 Junior Johnson prepared machine into. This is the leader. The outside men go to work on that right side of the car, getting new rubber on there, getting the windshield nice and clean. And they're going to change 4 tires here. Some strategy on behalf of Junior Johnson. And some of the other cars, I'm sure, will only take on the outside tires. So Terry Labonte in for a 4-tire change, gas the car, clean the windshield, and get back down to try to lead some more of this Martinsville race.
Terry, anxious to get back on the track, almost took Pete right with him in the jack, but Pete's a big guy, and he pulled that jack out just in time.
But now this has allowed Dale Earnhardt to close in with everybody else, and he is very much back in the hunt now. There you see Labonte, Darrell Waltrip, Harry Gant. The reason for this caution, if you just happen to be tuning in, Rusty Wallace seemingly losing an engine going down the back straightaway up into turn 3. Pat Patterson is with him now in the garage area. Pat?
Rusty Wallace is out of it here after running extremely well out there. You were really moving up towards the front, Rusty. What happened?
Yeah, I broke a connecting rod in the bottom end, and it's just an unforeseen problem we had. And the engine vibrated a little bit from the start. We thought it was carburation, but evidently it was a bottom end problem. And everybody back in the shop did an excellent job. David Evans, Harold Elliott, and all of them. It's just we have to find out what happened and work on it next week.
Okay, that's Rusty Wallace.
They've had a good year.
They've had a good year. There's the panel sweatshirts Ford. Tough break for Buddy Arrington. He's had some good races here.
That car is based right here in Martinsville, Virginia. Buddy's shop is just up the road, shouting distance from here.
And Eli, the spring race next year here will be the panel sweatshirts 500 after, of course, Buddy's sponsor.
Joey Arrington right there shouting directions, trying to remedy whatever problem there is in the Arrington pit. We'll update you on that story and much more as we return to Clay Earls Martinsville Speedway in a moment. With Dr. Jerry Punch and Pat Patterson, I'm Eli Gold. SETN's coverage of the Goodies 500. About set to go back to green. There are your top 5, and all of a sudden, Dale Earnhardt right back in the thick of things. We saw Buddy Arrington as we went to a break. Unfortunately, they've had to retire the panel knitting Ford car number 67. A water pump failure, leading to a even more progressive engine failure overall, and Buddy is gone for the day.
Tough break for the hometown favorite. We're back to green.
Harold Kinder sends them back to war. Terry Labonte, the 11, 17, Darrell Waltrip, number 3, Dale Earnhardt, the front 3 cars. Harry Gant, car number 33, 3 car lengths further behind. Then Morgan Shepherd, Kyle Petty, Ricky Rudd, and Sterling Marlin. That's the running order. Turned out to be a beautiful afternoon here at Martinsville. There's Earnhardt. Now very much with the leaders. He has made up a couple of laps today if you're just tuning in for the first time. An unscheduled pit stop early because of a tire problem. He has managed to get himself back in the hunt.
Martinsville very much a horsepower track, Eli. You really have to jump on that throttle coming out of the corners, and Earnhardt has done it. He has the inside groove now on Darrell Waltrip. That's a quick way around, and Earnhardt will take second spot from Waltrip in the Tide Chevrolet.
Crowd looking on. Always a packed house here at Martinsville. There are the front 3, Labonte, Earnhardt, and Darrell Waltrip, managing to pull away just a bit. You know, a lot of folks tend to overlook the strain that is placed on a race car here at Martinsville. They say, why is there more strain here than running flat out 500 miles at 210 miles an hour as you would at Talladega or Daytona? But slowing down as these cars do, not only the braking, which we talked about earlier, but the strain on the engine slowing down is rather profound on a short track.
They twist these engines so tightly, Eli. They have the cars geared. You have to get off the corner here. You have to jump in that throttle and get the car to torque off the corner, or else you'll be left behind. Very difficult to pass in the corners. If you hug that inside concrete barrier, that yellow ripple there on the inside of the concrete, they can't get by. You have to go around you.
And somebody asked yesterday, we were talking about the brakes here at Martinsville, trying to slow the car down as Dale Earnhardt tries to pressure Terry Labonte for the lead. Guy said to me very appropriately, he said, if we can put people on the moon, why can't we design or devise some sort of braking system that will stop a stock car at Martinsville, Virginia? And that's something we can talk about. The brakes really do exist. There is a ceramic type of brake, which I understand is manufactured by a company in Texas, but you've got to have a bucket full of money to afford them.
They are so prohibitively expensive, Eli. They have been tried here, and they will work. It's sort of like the tile on the space shuttle. It will withstand heat, enormous temperatures. They will not wear out.
Smoke from one car back into the corner. Dave Marcus, the Life Boy Helen Ray special, car number 71. Dave hoping to have running. I was going to say he was been running well today.
Dave's hoping to have a good run today. Today is Helen Ray's birthday, his sponsor and car owner.
And here's the battle for the lead in turn number 4. Earnhardt got the good jump on the low side of Labonte's machine. You see Darrell Waltrip back there in third, watching from a comfortable distance. Good battle side by side, and not much bumping or banging at all. You can still see the daylight between the two cars and Labonte. And now they're slowing down going into the corner, and they're going to put out a caution here. That's what Labonte was signaling. There was some fluid on the racetrack from Dave Marcus's car, and Labonte was signaling to Earnhardt, and they got the word, as we did, that caution was being displayed on the racetrack. So on the pit road they come. Dale Earnhardt to the attention of Kirk Shelmerdine and the crew.
And Earnhardt, who had not led a lap until just a minute ago, will get credit for leading lap number 200. He breaks the car in. He has made up those laps in the early unscheduled stop with a flat left front tire. Now David Smith carries the jack around on the left side. And there is Will Lynn, the left rear tire. Kirk Shelmerdine, the crew chief, Chief with the left front tire. Off the jacks, good pit stop. Remember, they're under yellow, so there's no big hurry except just to get out without losing a lap.
So we are under caution here at Martinsville, Virginia. We were talking earlier in the show about the race next spring to be called the Panel Sweatshirts 500. Panel is a company based right here in Martinsville. They sponsor Buddy Arrington this year, as they have over the last couple of years. Pat Patterson is with Will Panel from the Panel Sweatshirt Company.
You are going to be the new sponsor here at Martinsville for the fall race. It'll be the Panel Knitting 500. Spring race, excuse me. It'll be the spring race here at Martinsville for your corporation. How did you come to a decision to get involved as a major race sponsor?
Well, again, you know, we've been thinking about some type of be the driver or race sponsorship for about 3 years, which is about the same time we start promoting our new logo and name. We feel like it's a real good deal, and you get a whole lot of exposure for the money. So when Sovereign Bank gave it up, we were happy to step right in and take over.
Do you have any fun with this business?
It's a whole lot more fun than just sticking an ad in a magazine, I'll have to say that.
It is nice to see a local company getting behind another local business, the Martinsville Speedway. It should be a good association. Getting set to go back to green here in Martinsville after the caution brought out by the Dave Marcus problems. Terry Labonte, car number 11. He's the leader. 17, Darrell Waltrip is second. Dale Earnhardt, of course, made that pit stop, as we saw moments ago. Now has to pick his way back through race traffic. Bobby Allison is running third. Also others on the lead lap, including Ricky Rudd, Harry Gant, Morgan Shepherd, Sterling Marlin, Kyle Petty, Neil Bonnet, Alan Kulwicki, of course Earnhardt, whom we have already mentioned.
Terry Labonte looking for that first win on the 87 season. His car owner, Junior Johnson, has won here 10 times. The last win for Junior, this race, the Goody's 500, back in 1984. And the man who won it for him is in the orange car, chasing that car right now. That's Darrell Waltrip.
This is the battle for the lead. Waltrip inside of Terry Labonte going down the back straightaway. You dive into the corners here, so the inside groove is very much the desirable way around this racetrack, and that's where Darrell Waltrip has the Tide Ride in control right now.
Waddell Wilson, Jeff Hammond, and the crew have the Tide car dialed in, and Darrell has dived down beneath Terry Labonte to take the lead. Labonte, a very patient race car driver who will not abuse the equipment.
Dale Earnhardt now working up to fourth spot.
There's a Tide fan. She said, "Come on, Darrell." Big orange and white numeral car number 17 shows the way here at Martinsville.
You might notice the fourth car in line, Jeff Bodine, the Levi Garrett Chevrolet, is back on the racetrack now. As we are under caution, there's a piece of debris on the racetrack, bringing out caution here this afternoon. Don't go away, though. There's much more racing coming up in this Goody's 500 as we continue from a beautiful Martinsville Speedway. We are back at Martinsville Speedway. Beautiful racetrack, and now a little extra rose here on pit road, Jerry.
The story behind that rose, Eli, when Darrell Waltrip got to the track this morning, that single rose was sitting in his driver's seat of the Tide Chevrolet. A note attached to it said, "Win one for me, Daddy." Signed Jessica, his few-week-old daughter.
That's a nice story. I tell you, Darrell has been one of the happiest guys around ever since his wife Stevie gave birth just prior to the race at Dover a few weeks ago. Everybody's calling him Daddy. And there is old Daddy, number 17, leading the parade. And a granddaddy right behind him, Bobby Allison. And one tough old daddy right behind him, Dale Earnhardt. So there's a pretty good battle going on for the lead right now.
Three outstanding short track drivers. Bobby Allison, of course, has run here 43 times. Today's his 43rd start. He has never won here at Martinsville, Virginia. He gets an assist there from Dale Earnhardt. Earnhardt moves to the outside.
Now, I guess we should establish he has never won in a Winston Cup or a Grand National car. He does have a victory here in a NASCAR modified from years ago. But of all the accomplishments Bobby Allison has ever pulled off, you're right, he has never won in a Winston Cup race. And there are times here where he has gone down to the last couple of laps leading the event and has never made it to the checkered flag.
And what's amazing is that Bobby is such an accomplished short track driver. He drives almost every day of the week. He is somewhere running a race.
Jeff Bodine, a number of laps down. If you're just joining us, Jeff had problems after an accident in the Levi Garrett Chevrolet. You can see the right rear of that car, as we saw from our last camera shot, a good bit of damage. And they've done a yeoman's job just getting him back on the racetrack. But the points are such now that every lap you turn here this late in the season could well pay off at the Waldorf Astoria in New York come December at the Winston Cup Awards Banquet.
Talking about short track prowess, Darrell Waltrip has won 40 times in the short track since 1972. 40 of his 70 career wins have come on the tracks less than a mile in length.
Field picking their way around the Martinsville Speedway. This shot you're just watching, camera basically hanging off the bottom of Harold Kinder's flag stand there at the start-finish line. Dale Earnhardt picking his way through race traffic around Kenny Schrader's car, number 90, to try and close in just a bit further on Darrell Waltrip. Earnhardt really slouches down in a race car. You ever notice that? What's one thing I love about a short track, such as Martinsville, any of the short tracks, the seats are so close, the broadcast location so close, you can really look right into the driver's compartment and see how these fellas wrestle the cars or don't, how some guys sit up straight, how some lean down, how Buddy Baker's elbows seem to extend out both windows of the car. It really is something to see.
Yeah, Dale Earnhardt says he likes to relax in the car, and he just sort of lays down. I think RC, Richard Childress, his car owner, has kidded him about going to sleep at times, but that's not the case. He just likes to relax. He drives. He's a relaxed kind of guy.
They're closing in on Dale Jarrett. Car number 18, the Coates and Clark machine.
Dale Jarrett driving for Eric Friedlander in that car this year. Rumor has it he will drive for a couple of accomplished veterans next year. Possibly he'll get in the Cale Yarborough car. That hasn't been signed yet, but that's the heavy rumor in the garage area.
Richard Petty, car 43. There's Kyle Petty, the 21. A couple of Fords. The Xerox Ford for Alan Kulwicki, car number 7.
And Kulwicki has been impressive this year.
I was going to say, especially he can run the short tracks as well.
3 poles in that car. He's won the pole both races at Richmond, and he won a pole just last week at Dover, Delaware.
You know, Jeff Bodine, you watch him here, one of the fastest cars on the racetrack right now. Even emphasizing more how he was leading earlier and pulling away, and then had the problems, and that they've gotten the car back into shape.
He's had them covered so many times here at Martinsville, Virginia. This black cloud seems to follow him. You know, this race in the spring, he was leading with 6 laps to go, and again, problem for Bodine. He must have cut a tire down. All that sheet metal bent on the right front of the car, and the right front of the car is down on the wheel, and again, poor Jeff, that black cloud exists. He heads for pit road.
Managed to keep it out of the wall, which is in its own right unusual. If you blow a tire or cut a tire here in Martinsville, you almost automatically end up in the wall. He's ended up on pit road to the attention of Gary Nelson and the crew. We'll be back with more of the Goodies 500 from Martinsville. Stay with us. Darrell Waltrip leads the Goodies 500 here at Martinsville. The Tide Chevrolet out of Hendrick Motorsports Stables. I'm Eli Gold with Jerry Punch and Pat Patterson. Get a lot of racing coming your way during what you would normally consider the off-season. We'll be bringing you the Busch Grand National Run for the Championship from Richmond, Virginia, Charlotte Motor Speedway, and back here at Martinsville. So we'll have racing coverage for you throughout the winter months right here on SETN. Bill Elliott, Bobby Allison, the 5 of Jeff Bodine. He's back, as you can clearly see, after that most recent visit to pit road.
Talk about the black cloud following Bodine. We mentioned the fact that he was leading this race last year, a late race caution. He was beaten out of the pits by Rusty Wallace. That cost him the race. In the spring, he dominated here. With 6 laps to go, he tangled with Kyle Petty. Cost him the race. Dale Earnhardt won it. Kathy Bodine, Jeff's wife, said when they're on their way to this track at Martinsville, they always stop the car on the highway, get out and look up and see that black cloud is over them still because they've had so much trouble here at this racetrack.
Darrell Waltrip getting set now to come down pit road for what I believe should be a scheduled stop.
The number 17 car, Darrell Waltrip, comes in. The crew will first start to work on the right side of the car where they'll change both tires on that side. Then they'll move over to this side. It should be just a 2-tire change. As Waltrip wants to make sure he gets back on the pit track without taking any more time than necessary. A good stop for the Darrell Waltrip crew.
And these are scheduled pit stops, Jerry.
Indeed, an excellent stop. 11.5 seconds. Mike Powell, Jeff Hammond, Eddie Dickerson and the crew there.
Dale Earnhardt has inherited the lead with that pit stop for Darrell Waltrip. Now I'm just trying to take a look here. It will be very tough. It'll be close, but it'll be awfully tough for these guys to go the distance on fuel now.
Well, you know, we've not really had that many green flag stops with all the caution flags we've had, so it'd be awfully close to go this distance. It'd be almost pushing them to the limit.
There's Bobby Allison, the Miller American Buick. Thought Dale Earnhardt might come down pit road, but evidently not. He'll make another revolution of the racetrack. Morgan Shepherd in the 26 car. He's running a lap down, Shepherd is. Now we see Cecil Gordon and the rest of the fellows getting set for the Earnhardt pit stop. Here's Steve Christman, the driver from Fort Wayne, Indiana. Morgan Shepherd is preceded by Dale Earnhardt. Let's go to the pits.
Here comes the leader, Dale Earnhardt. The number 3, Richard Childress. He slides to a stop at his pit. One of the fastest crew teams and one of the fastest crews in the business on work on the right side of that car as Earnhardt gets service on the right side. He'll take on 2 tires there and as much gas as they can possibly get into the car. Richard Childress talking to Earnhardt while he moves away down the pit lane.
A little extra time on that stop for Earnhardt. They cleaned some debris from the grill. You saw Kurt Shelmerdine using the gloved hand to wipe across the front of the car. Never want the car to overheat here.
Third place runner, Ricky Rudd, car number 15. The 90 of Kenny Schrader is a couple of laps down. Terry Labonte is in the lead at this juncture. Let me correct myself. Rudd would be showing in the lead right now. Labonte would be running second.
Ricky's won here twice, but showing some smoke from the Motorcraft Ford.
Isn't that the truth? Have you hugged your pit today? The service that Earnhardt has gotten this year, last year, the year prior to that from his pit crew. Really outstanding. Remember the Wilkesboro race last year where the pit crew literally won it for Earnhardt?
Outstanding pit stop. Rusty Wallace's pit crew won this race for him last year by beating Jeff Bodine's crew in that final crucial pit stop. The pit work very critical everywhere. Short tracks, speedways, you name it.
Bobby Allison trying to work his way past the Piedmont Underalls machine. Sterling Marlin in the 44. The 11 is Terry Labonte. He's got to be due here for a stop shortly. He is on the same pit schedule, maybe a lap or 2 different is the way I had it here as compared to the Earnhardt and Waltrip machines, but Labonte is still out there.
Beecher Hetland and J.B. Raines getting excellent fuel mileage in their motors for Junior Johnson and the Budweiser car. And there's the competing beer car, the Miller Efforts for Bobby Allison.
Now we see some activity in the Junior Johnson pits. So Labonte will likely come in either this lap or the next. He and Sterling Marlin go through turns 3 and 4. Bobby Allison is, well, he looked like he'd be coming in, and neither he nor Labonte make a stop. Got to be cutting it awfully close.
Allison trying to keep from being lapped. He would like to stay in front of Terry Labonte, or at least get Terry to make a pit stop, then have a caution come out and let him keep from going a lap down.
And again, Labonte stays on the racetrack. See part of the packed house here in Martinsville. Those seats up in turns 1 and 2, the high-rise seats, those are brand new. As a matter of fact, those 2,500 seats in the tower off turn number 2, nobody really expected that they would be ready for this race. Not only were they ready, but they were actually sold before they were built. Here comes Labonte now off pit, or onto pit road, I should say. Pat Patterson is in the Johnson pits.
Terry Labonte brings the Junior Johnson prepared number 11 car in. They'll go to the right side and change rubber. Also take on 2 tanks of fuel. Apparently, Labonte not having much of a chassis problem because we don't see anybody inside the car and judging the wedge bolt. So it'll be a routine gas stop for Labonte. 2 tires to the right side and down the way.
Now notice the deliberate fueling of these cars. In both Earnhardt's car and Labonte's car, they waited to get that last drop of fuel in because they know it's going to be awfully close to make it the rest of the way.
Have you also noticed how more and more of the gas men and the gas catchers are now wearing the Nomex fire retardant suits?
That's required now. It's a safety measure that NASCAR has employed. It's about the midpoint of the year now. There's Motorcraft Ford of Rudd. See his gas man there at the corner of the car has a suit on just like Rudd wears, the Motorcraft suit. good pit stop for the Bud Moore crew.
So routine pit stops here at Martinsville. We've got lots more to go in the Goody's 500 as the field continues to roll. The Goody's 500 at Martinsville Speedway. At this point, only 3 cars on the lead lap. There's the leaderboard.
Showing Ricky Rudd and Harry Gant, you know, the kind of year Harry's had, he'd love to get a top 5 finish. He has yet to get one as the season winds down. In his last 3 Goody's 500s here at Martinsville, he has finished 3rd twice and 4th. It's a good track for him, but he's already a lap down to that guy right there, Darrell Waltrip.
Working right in behind Kenny Schrader. Still seeing that smoke from behind the Ricky Rudd car.
We had gotten a report earlier from Greg Moore, who is the son of Bud Moore, who's the car owner on the Motorcraft Ford. Greg's the engine builder, he and his brother Darrell, that they may have burnt a valve in the car, but it's still running pretty well. They're to hang up with a Tide Chevrolet. Hanging on to the rear bumper there, a little bit of a sandwich.
Bobby Hillen Jr. with a problem. The car spins off turn number 4 onto pit road. Clearly, as you see, pointing in the wrong direction. He has come to a stop in the Harry Gant pit area.
And Bobby Hillen did a great job to keep that car from center punching that pit wall and causing some severe damage and possibly hurting somebody. He got the car spun it, he looped it, he got on the brakes and got it stopped. But it has caused quite a stir there at the upper end of pit road.
Harry Gant pit there, the Morgan Shepherd pit area for the Quaker State Buick. Actually is directly where Hillen's car has come to a stop. That'll wake you in a hurry.
Got to keep on your toes here with a short stock car racing. Ricky Rudd going around the car number 17 of Darrell Waltrip. Now Rudd was being shown a lap down. He makes that lap up. There's the aftermath of the Bobby Hillen spin.
So we now do have 4 cars on the lead lap. Waltrip, Earnhardt, Labonte, and now Ricky Rudd again.
Bobby Hillen, one of the youngest drivers on the Winston Cup Tour at age 23. Scheduled to get married. Take the dive here in about 3 or 4 weeks.
Bill Elliott, the Melling Coors Ford in car number 9. Being bypassed. You know, it's had a good run, car number 6 there. Ernie Irvin in DK Ulrich's car. He's done well here since, I guess, his first race with us was in Richmond, Virginia.
Ernie's a young man from Salinas, California. Former Stockton Speedway champion out in California. Short track competitor, now living in Concord.
There's Ned Jarrett with the blue earphones and the antenna. He's handling the broadcast on the radio side today for Motor Racing Network. 2-time Winston Cup champion in his own right. There's another 2-time champion, number 3, Dale Earnhardt. There's Darrell Waltrip with championships of his own.
Darrell having won 3 times. Of course, Darrell having won 7 times here at Martinsville, second only to Richard Petty with 15 wins.
And you've obviously got to like Earnhardt's chances for the 1987 title.
Currently, Earnhardt showing 518-point lead over Bill Elliott is in second spot. Terry Labonte in third. The man who stands to lose big today is Rusty Wallace. He is in 4th place at the points, but he has already exited here at Martinsville with engine problems. Ricky Rudd is in 5th, only 6 points back. He will move up. He's still in the hunt here, showing currently in 4th spot.
So conceivably, depending on what happens today with these 2 cars and anyone else who might come in for the win, Waltrip, Earnhardt, Dale could go to the Charlotte race with a mathematical chance to wrap up the championship there. If not there, certainly Rockingham further down the road. But you still have to like his chances, as we've just documented. This is the battle ongoing for the lead. 3 is Earnhardt, 17 is Waltrip. Barely any room between those 2 cars.
Dale Earnhardt doing it the hard way, coming on the outside. Now it's a drag race down the front stretch. Lap traffic in front of them, heavy traffic as they move in on the Sterling Marlin car.
See Earnhardt working that steering wheel a bit more than Darrell Waltrip is. I guess when you're into the outside groove like that, you have to keep that car bearing down, bearing in, tighten it up a bit more.
Earnhardt pumping the horsepower. He jumps on the throttle and he will pull Darrell Waltrip a half a car length. That Lou LaRosa engine really roars to life. And Earnhardt takes the lead.
So Dale leads it. Darrell Waltrip second. We've got Terry Labonte in third, and Ricky Rudd has since been passed again by the leaders. So we are back now to just 3 cars on the lead lap. We see Bill Elliott there just dirt tracking it through the corner.
And he is slowing a lot of smoke from beneath the Elliott car.
There's a lot of smoke still from behind the Ricky Rudd machine. And that's an indication of a problem that has been ongoing. There's Bill Elliott. Now that he has gotten clear of Waltrip, Earnhardt is trying to pull away. He and Sterling Marlin in the 44 battle, but Darrell staying right with him. Is everything on pace now for a win for Earnhardt? Pat Patterson is in the Earnhardt pits. Pat, what's the story there?
Well, it comes down to the old chess game here. What do you like, 499 or 500 laps before you got to have some fuel?
I don't know, Pat. It's real close. The racetrack's greasier, so we're hoping it'll increase our mileage a little bit. If that's the case, we can make it. So we'll just have to see.
Okay, that's a story from Richard Childress.
We were talking about that earlier.
You got to remember now that when you make horsepower, you have to burn fuel. And I mean, Lula Rosa really puts the horsepower in those engines for Dale Earnhardt.
Meanwhile, here's Ricky Rudd on pit road.
Well, Ricky Rudd brings the number 15 Bud Moore machine in after having a good run this afternoon. The hood will go up on that car. When he came by us a couple of laps earlier, we saw a lot of black smoke blowing out of the header pipe. So it looks like it may be terminal for the Bud Moore Ford this afternoon. Rudd, of course, moving on to a different ride next year, but certainly making a good effort this afternoon in Martinsville.
We'll be right back to bring you the story as the Goody's 500 unfolds with more right after this. Dale Earnhardt shows the way here at Martinsville, Virginia. 3 cars on the lead lap. And everybody else, as you see, Neil Bonnet and Harry Gant, 2 and 3 laps down. Morgan Shepherd next in line, running 6th. Alan Kulwicki is 7th. Sterling Marlin, who is about to go a lap down there, is 8th. 9th is Bobby Allison. 10th is Kyle Petty. 11th, Dale Jarrett. Kenny Schrader is running 12th. 13th is Bill Elliott. Richard Petty is running 14th. The big question now, Jerry, can these guys go the distance on fuel?
Well, that is a big question. You know, in the last pit stop that Dale Earnhardt had, Barney Boyd, who's one of the best gas men in the business for the Wrangler team, he thinks maybe he just didn't get quite enough gas in the car. It was a quick pit stop. They're so good, they're almost too good for their own good. They get the car in and out and don't get a lot of fuel in the car. So Barney Boyd has talked with Richard Childress, the car owner, and they may have to bring Earnhardt in with a few laps to go to put some gas in the car.
You heard Richard Childress tell Pat Patterson before it was going to be awfully close. The slickness of the track might dictate what they do. There is Earnhardt. See some activity in the Junior Johnson pits, some activity in the Darrell Waltrip pits. Here comes Waltrip now off turn number 4. Darrell Waltrip in for a stop. Pat?
Darrell Waltrip brings the 17 car into the pit area, and Jeff Hammond trying to slow that car down with a pit board in front. It'll be a gas and go stop for Waltrip as he's down trying to catch the 2 leaders, the 11 and the 3.
That's Mike Powell with the gas can there, one of the best gas men also. Gas and go, good pit stop for Waltrip.
That activity we saw in the Junior Johnson pits has stopped as quickly as it started. A lot of decoying on pit road going on. And when you stop to think also, Jerry, you and I were talking during the commercial break, Labonte's pit stop was the last, if you remember, among all the lead cars during that last section of pit stop rotation.
And their engine builders have been working awfully hard on getting good gas mileage from the cars. And I think Junior Johnson just may have the trick. They may be able to stay out there for the remainder of the time and go to the green flag, or the checkered flag rather, with Terry Labonte.
Pat Patterson is making his way over to that Junior Johnson pit. And we'll get a word hopefully with Junior in just a moment or so as we watch Dale Earnhardt. And there is Darrell Waltrip putting another lap on Richard Petty, car number 43.
Darrell Waltrip, the winningest driver in money earnings here at Martinsville Speedway. 25 starts. He's won almost $400,000.
Average speed at this juncture, 76.403 miles an hour.
There is Dale Jarrett, one of the rookie drivers.
And the Coates and Clark machine, the sewing thread people.
Interesting trivia question, Eli. We'll play trivia again
full of
right
trivia
quick.
today.
Yeah.
You embarrassed me once, try it again. Go ahead, pick on it.
2 rookie drivers won their first race during their rookie year here at Martinsville Speedway. Name them.
Well, I know one is the Canadian Earl Ross.
That's right. Earl Ross won it driving a Junior Johnson car. It was a team car back in '74. And how about the other one?
The other one, I'm sure, is a whole lot easier than that.
He was in the field today.
Jeff Bodine.
No, he won his first race here, but he wasn't a rookie. It was Morgan Shepherd back in 1981, driving for Cliff Stewart.
Sure did. Morgan Shepherd is a big track for Morgan Shepherd. Remember, you were here the day he had his wedding here. Morgan was married at this racetrack.
He has been pre-race entertainment for the fans with he dons the roller skates and does his roller dancing.
I thought you meant that his wedding was the pre-race entertainment. But it's true, Morgan Shepherd was married here at the Martinsville Speedway.
Dale Earnhardt, what a year he's had, 11 wins. There have been 8 different winners. Earnhardt has won 11, and 7 other drivers have combined to win 12 races.
I see Pat Patterson making his way over to Junior Johnson right now, trying to get Junior to back off the pit wall. He always stands up on the pit wall the same way, one leg up on the wall, watching intently. Let's go down to Pat. He's with Junior Johnson. Gentlemen.
Talking to Junior Johnson. Junior, you got enough fuel to make it the rest of the way?
Yeah, we can make it, but I also think Dale can make it.
So he thinks that man, Dale Earnhardt, can make it all the way. It's going to be close. What did Richard Childress say to Pat earlier? Maybe lap 498, 499, somewhere in that range?
You know, they've run out of fuel a couple times, particularly last year. They ran out of fuel, you know, the Daytona 500,
right.
A few laps to go, and they had it won. They ran out of fuel at Atlanta during the middle of the race. They've had a problem intermittently with fuel mileage. Lula Rosa builds one of the strongest motors, and what we were saying before, the more horsepower you generate, the more fuel you're going to burn.
You know, it's interesting, a southern team, which Earnhardt's team is, the Richard Childress Racing Team. Kirk Shelmerdine, the crew chief, is from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Lula Rosa is from Brooklyn, New York. A lot of northerners injected in that successful operation. There's a little activity in the Earnhardt pit. Just got a quick glimpse from up here on the tower. Richard Childress starting to direct one or two people over towards the gas cans, whether it's an insurance of getting in position to see if they need them. Let's see what happens. Yeah, you see them waiting. Danny Chocolate Myers with the can, and here comes Earnhardt. Earnhardt coming down off turn number 4 to the pit road. Pat Patterson is there. Go ahead, Pat.
Here comes the leader, Dale Earnhardt, the number 3 car, looking for his 12th win of the season. Just a few laps left and a little douse of gasoline, and he's back out on the racetrack.
And that was Marty Boyd, the guy in the big Nomex suit there, the tall fella, bearded gas man for the Wrangler team. He sloshed in just enough probably to get to the finish.
Right, I believe I had misidentified him there before. Danny Chocolate Myers standing by. He just dominates the picture.
He's a big fella.
I'm partial a bit. He's one of the guys I can hang around near and call somebody else big guy. I kind of like that.
He's another buffet buster like you, Eli.
Dale Earnhardt, Terry Labonte. Darrell Waltrip is the third man in the equation here this afternoon, as they are working our way down to the final moments. If you're just tuning in, we have had 7 caution flags so far. We have been caution-free for a while now, all the way back as Harold Kinder gives him the 10 to go signal. We have been caution. Well, the spin there is Kenny Schrader. I was saying we were caution-free since lap 217. Bobby Allison spins now. They have just put out the caution. There is caution on the speedway inside of 10 laps to go. It doesn't look as though there's a lot of debris as we saw Schrader there. But all of a sudden, this is going to tighten things up, Jerry.
Eli, 6 laps to go when the yellow came out for Schrader's cut left rear tire. The Red Baron Pizza Ford. Now Kenny Schrader gets it fired. He will try to limp his way back to pit road just out of turn 4 there.
Last thing that Dale Earnhardt wanted to see.
It is really going to tighten them up for this last shootout. They got to make sure the track is clear. There they're going to, Judy Dunleavy and the crew, Bob Johnson will change the left rear tire for Kenny Schrader. Here comes Earnhardt down pit road.
When one comes in now among the leaders, you would think everybody would need to come in. Right side change for the Wrangler crew.
There's Terry Labonte, Pete Wright, Mike Hill, Sandy Jones and the crew there changing right side tires there. It's a race.
There goes Schrader exiting pit road.
And it'll be a 4 tire change. We're going to have 4 fresh tires, tanks of fuel, and a few laps to go. There's Mike Powell, Jeff Hammond, Eddie Dickerson, Eddie Jones, and the Tide crew there working. Earnhardt, good pit work. His car is down and away. And just behind him will be Terry Labonte.
Well, place your bets, boys and girls. Who do you like?
It's going to be tough to call.
I like Earnhardt the way he's been running here of late, but on the short tracks, Labonte has experience. Waltrip, Lord knows his way around this racetrack.
Darrell's won 7 times. Hard to bet against the 3-time champion.
When we come back, we will have either 3 or 4 laps of racing to go. We'll see exactly when Harold Kinder gives him the 1-to-go signal. Don't go away. We will be right back for the finish. Well, it'll be the 3-lap-to-go signal as Harold Kinder puts them back to green after the spin involving Kenny Schrader and Bobby Allison. Both cars have returned, and we have 3 laps to go with the green from Harold. Dale Earnhardt, car 3. The 11, Terry Labonte. The 17, Darrell Waltrip. Those are the only 3 cars on the lead lap.
All 3 cars have fresh tires all the way around, fuel. Remember, Earnhardt is the only one of those 3 that's won a race this year. Terry Labonte is yet to win, and Darrell Waltrip has yet to win as well.
2 laps to go. Everybody clinging to the inside curbing with the exception of Darrell, as you can clearly see. Looking inside is Labonte. Look at Earnhardt trying to make sure that he gets his half of the racetrack, and he's going to take his half right out of the middle. Certainly can do. 1 lap to go. Final lap.
White flag, and Labonte will look to the outside. There's Waltrip. Earnhardt now coming out of turn 2. Labonte trying to get around. They ride high, and Terry just nudges the wall.
Now they go down the back straightaway. There's nobody sitting here in Martinsville. Oh, the 3 cars touch. They get together. Labonte spins. Waltrip stays low. Darrell Waltrip is going to win here at Martinsville. Waltrip takes the checkered flag. Earnhardt will finish second. Labonte and Bobby Allison get together. They will finish, at least Labonte will in this case, finish third if he can get the car going again. Remarkable. After Labonte tried to make an outside pass on Earnhardt coming off turn number 3, we watch it again, rather off turn number 2. Here's where Labonte tries to go to the outside, and they run out of racetrack.
Labonte taps the wall. He is there. He just behind Earnhardt, but the inside groove is open. Here comes Darrell Waltrip up the inside. Let's see if there's contact. Labonte's car spins. He taps Earnhardt, gets Earnhardt out of shape. Labonte goes on around, and hanging on that bottom groove is Darrell Waltrip. He will move on to victory lane. Let's see what happens to Terry Labonte. His car down in the middle of the racetrack. Here comes traffic. There's Sterling Marlin goes around Richard Petty, Alan Kulwicki, and Bobby Allison trying to miss him. His car spins. Ooh! Allison taps Labonte.
Did it look to you like Waltrip hit Labonte, who then went into Earnhardt? It was tough to tell.
Really difficult to tell from our angle, but those 3 cars coming together. And there's the man who has won it here at Martinsville. His 8th win of his career here at Martinsville, Virginia. His 71st win overall.
That rose worked.
Little Jessica sending Daddy a rose. Win 1 for me, Daddy. And I mean, he did it.
The fans here, either they're yelling, they're screaming, they're cheering, or they're shaking their heads. That was the Budweiser Chevrolet. There's the Wrangler Chevy. Kirk Shelmerdine and the crew looking around. They're trying to look on the car and see if there were any nudge marks or something.
They don't know what happened either. They're asking their driver, as is the Tide crew asking their driver what happened when he came by the last time with the white flag. He was running third.
And visibility from the pits is not good here at Martinsville, just because of its physical location. We will talk to the participants in this last lap melee as soon as we come back. There's Dale Earnhardt, but that's the man who's celebrating DW. Darrell Waltrip wins at Martinsville Speedway. We will be right back with Victory Lane. Well, the celebration continues in Victory Lane here at the Martinsville Speedway, and right in the middle of that madding crowd is our own Pat Patterson. Pat?
Well, partner, you have deserved it, and you got it in a masterful way down there in turn 4. Congratulations, Darrell, the first win, and it's been a long time coming this year.
Well, it was a tough race, and, I hate what happened over there, but that's what happens when 3 cars race on the last lap. And that time I was in the right place. Dale run Terry in the wall going down the back. Terry tried to get back under him and got a little sideways, and I bumped him, and that was that.
You know, you got a rose sitting over there in the toolbox. You think that rose had anything to do with maybe giving you a little bit of Darrell getting some hugs from the crew people that have just worked so hard this year to try to get a win, and he's tremendously emotional right now. Darrell, a rose from your...
No, I'm okay. I just get me some cold water.
Darrell, a rose from your daughter over there to wish you good luck today. She sure sent it at the right time.
Jessica sent that this morning, and a little note said that how lucky she was to have a dad like me. God really blessed her, and to win the race. So I won this one for Jessica. That's for you, honey.
Well, the Tide ride came home for Rick Hendrick, and I know wherever he's at, he's got to be just about as excited, if not more than you are.
It's a great win for us. We needed it so badly, and we finally got it. I was just real patient all day, and it paid off.
Congratulations, Darrell.
Thank you, Pat.
Well, he did bump him there in turn number 3.
Yeah, he must have. We couldn't quite see, but he admits to bumping him. That's the top 5. Waltrip, of course, Earnhardt finishing 2nd. Labonte will come home 3rd. Neil Bonnet is 4th, and Morgan Shepherd 5th.
If you're wondering where Terry Labonte and Dale Earnhardt are, as we look at the remaining members of the top 10, they have gone in to meet with some of the NASCAR officials in the NASCAR truck for a brief consultation. Some good runs there. Alan Kulwicki finishing 6th. You saw Bobby Allison's car, what remained of it. And part of the crowd filing out, one of the most picturesque racetracks in all of this country.
I can bet you that Darrell Waltrip will keep a tape for Jessica of this finish and show her what that rose meant to him when she's a little older.
There are Labonte and Earnhardt just coming out of the NASCAR trailer. Tim Brewer, Labonte's crew chief.
Does that mean all's fair in love and war from here on out? Race is over.
Dale, can you tell me anything about what happened on the last lap?
NASCAR wants to look at the tapes. In other words, Darrell won the race.
Terry, you got any comment at all?
No comment. Good race, guys.
That was Richard Petty who chimed in there. Good race, guys, or at least it sounded like him. Not much to say there. Pat Patterson, what do you think? What are they talking about?
Well, the story, gentlemen, is neither one of these two drivers will say anything about what happened on the last lap. They came out of the NASCAR truck, and apparently until NASCAR reviews the tapes, nothing will be solved here at Martinsville. However, both drivers heatedly upset, both not making comments. Gentlemen?
Well, interesting. And maybe in a situation like this, you see Tom Chambers of Goodies, Darrell Waltrip, some of the race queens here. Bill France Jr., the president of NASCAR, is with Pat Patterson. Pat?
Mr. France, I guess nothing can be decided or said at this time about the last lap incident. Is that the way it stands right now?
That's the way it stands right now. We're going to get one of your tapes and see what that shows. From what we saw up there, as far as the 17 is concerned, he looked like he was in pretty good shape from a distance. And we'll take another look at another one of the angles. But right now, we're just sitting tight until we can take a look at some more tapes.
Okay, that's the word from Mr. Bill France.
And Eli, NASCAR Director of Competition, Dick Beatty, along with Ed Cox and the people in the tower, will get our SETN tapes and look at it and here in the trucks and see if they can determine who won it or if that's indeed the way it'll stand.
But the bottom line today is this. Darrell Waltrip came to the war, and he leaves with his first win of the 1987 season.